You're listening to Fun Oldies 100.9 FM and AM 1450. Welcome to the fastest hour in radio, All About Cars. Brought to you by ABC Motors Prescott with your hosts, David Don't Call Me Dave Spence and Big Mike Hill.
Hey, Mr. Mike, we're back again.
Well, Scott, you got to see it. What do you think?
I still got goosebumps. You will not believe. I mean, this car, you can recognize it anywhere around town. It is in great condition. David, you've done an amazing job with restoring that. I don't even know what else to say. It is amazing.
Thanks, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, that's, the interior, the exterior, you've done a very nice job with that, David. And we showed him the carburetor that's not the carburetor we discussed.
Yeah, we showed him the Carter carburetor, which is one of the ones off the list you were talking about,
Yes.
that people could just throw in the car and it'll actually work.
And I guess it's mostly considered, even by the purists, it's considered still authentic.
Yeah, well, I've never seen anybody get counted down for having it because everybody knows how bad the other carburetor actually is to repair.
Does that mean you'll get bonus points for yours?
I think so. I think I'm going to really shock people when I open the hood and they say, oh my God, it's a marvel and it works.
We'll get you a Batman outfit.
A Batman outfit.
Well, yeah. for Marvel, right? Or was
yeah,
he DC?
Marvel Comics.
Was he DC or Marvel? I don't know. I
don't know comics well enough to tell you.
I don't know. We'll have to find a 12-year-old and have them come explain it to us.
What 12-year-old knows about comics anymore? He'll tell you what PlayStation he's using.
Now,
Probably right. Except my son Sebastian would tell you it was a graphic novel. We're getting that much wrong, you realize?
Yes.
I do. I understand that. Now, I got to tell you, I had an interesting subject I wanted to discuss with you. My daughter, Elizabeth, last night had a car following her. She made a left turn, they made a left turn. She made a right turn, they made a right turn. She went around in a circle around a neighborhood. They followed her. She did what I would not advise, went down a side street and then made a U-turn to see if the person was still going to come down the way. And so I advised her, I said, Elizabeth, the best thing for you to do in the future is keep driving on a well-lit road like Gurley Street, Montezuma, Whipple, White Spar, in the lit area, and call the police, tell them you're being followed, the person's creeping you out, giving you the heebie-jeebies, and they will find you, and they will help you. Now, my daughter's friend said, I don't think it works that way unless you have all the information and this, that, and the other. So I called Prescott PD, and I talked to a nice lady there, and she said, absolutely, once again, Father knows best. She said, absolutely, drive the lit streets. In the event that you feel you have to get out of your car for your safety, pull somewhere like Walmart or Circle K, someplace well lit where you know there's going to be 24-hour employees. Pull up, right up to the door, get out, lock your car, and run inside and find another human being after you've called 911 while driving. And the police will come and help you.
So, isn't it true, though, Mr. Mike? Now, you're the tech guru, right? Okay. Aren't the phones now equipped when you call 911? Doesn't that give a GPS location?
It does give a GPS location. The unfortunate thing is it's triangulated by the towers, and so it could take them some time to actually pinpoint where you are.
Okay.
So while you could, if you were being accosted, yes, you could dial 911, put the phone back in your pocket, and they would eventually find it. But if you have the ability to actually tell the operator, I'm driving down Gurley Street, I'm in a blue car, or I'm in a red car, whatever it may be, and here's where I'm at. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll actually keep you on the phone with dispatch, and they'll say, okay, turn right onto Grove, and then turn right again onto Sheldon, and there'll be a officer actually waiting there to intercept that vehicle that's following you.
Very interesting. Now, question. How did this turn out for your daughter? Did it turn out that it was a friend doing something stupid, or was this really as creepy as it might be?
You know, judging by the fact that I'm not in jail, it means that nothing bad happened to my kids. What happened is I guess they made the U-turn and the car slowly drove past them and continued on its way, thinking maybe they got home or something. Now, had they stayed there and waited another hour or half hour, who knows if that person might have come back to look for the car or whatnot. I don't know. Nothing bad occurred. But anybody who's creeped out and has somebody following them for a long distance and it's really giving them the heebie-jeebies, I always recommend better safe than sorry.
Oh, I'd say so. Definitely.
Especially two girls in their 20s and at night driving around, and coming home from work or whatnot.
That's what makes it creepy. Is because obviously whoever's doing this is either thinking they're doing a great prank or they got bad intentions.
Usually those are the two options. Unless it's me, then it's just because they want to meet me.
Because he cut him off in traffic is what happened.
Yeah, that could
Big
be
Mike
all it
probably just
was.
cut him off and they decided to follow him somewhere.
No, actually, Big Mike doesn't
ex-taxi
cut-
driver, that's what it is, ex-taxi driver.
But I try my best not to cut people off and to be courteous. Actually, poor use of the roadway, if you will, is one of my pet peeves.
No, mine too, brother.
People that don't realize the roundabout, the person inside the circle actually has the right of way, not the person on the highway merging into the circle.
I
Right.
thought there were all these yield signs.
Well, the yield signs are there. Unfortunately, people read them as somehow they decide, well, the person in the circle is going to yield to me. And that's not what the sign says. The sign says yield. That is a directive to you, the driver who's reading the sign, to yield to the person coming the other way. What happens commonly, especially right there at Highway 89A and Willow Lake Road,
Yeah.
right by the hair lair, people rear end somebody because the person in front of them yields like they're supposed to, and the person behind them says, I didn't know they were going to stop. Well,
Yeah.
you probably should have figured they were going to stop. That's one of my driving pet peeves. The other one is the white line at the stop sign.
Uh-huh.
People don't realize that's where you're supposed to stop.
Really?
Not 12 feet past it, not out in the middle of the intersection, not in the middle of the crosswalk. You're supposed to stop at the white line, regardless of where the stop sign is. The stop sign may be 10 feet in front of you. You're supposed to stop at the white line. That's why it's there.
Oh my gosh! We're learning a lot of good stuff. Now, doesn't it amaze you though that people are that dumb? They can't figure out something that simple.
No, what amazes me, David, is that they passed their driver's license test.
You're
No,
right.
no, that's easy in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's what amazes me.
Open up a box of Cracker Jacks and there it is.
Yes, it's pretty much how you get it.
So, although I do know some people in town that have had to open up like 5 or 6 boxes of Cracker Jacks to get their license. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I know some people that have done that. They've failed the test 4, 5, 6, 7 times even.
Yeah.
Then they get their license, and they're exemplary drivers because they pay a lot more attention to driving safe and following the rules than they did studying for the test or how to take a test.
Well,
And
that
that's-
might be a good thing then.
It is. It is indeed. Speaking of good things,
Yes.
I know you were talking to me about a trip to Tucson.
Yeah.
What you got in mind, buddy?
Well, you got to remember I went to Bakersfield, right? And
Yes.
so then I find out about Tucson and Bakersfield. Doesn't that go to show you? You don't know what's in your own state. I mean, really. Because it turns out in Tucson, Arizona, there's a Franklin Motor Car Museum. Actually, technically called the Franklin Automobile Museum. And is down in Tucson at 1405 East Kleindale Road. This particular museum has Franklin cars. Now, Mike, do you know what a Franklin car is, really?
No, actually, I don't. And when you first said it to me, I thought you were referring to the little replica ones you get from the Franklin Mint. I thought it was going to be a really cool museum of nothing but replica little cars.
Fair mistake.
Yeah, I could see that.
I thought, how cool would that be? You'll see all kinds of cool stuff. Santa's sleigh, the Cowboys semi-truck. Who knows what you'd see?
You could see all that stuff. And, of course, when you put it on eBay, if you put in Franklin, you'll get exactly that result, plus you'll actually get these. Now, Franklin motor cars are very, very unique. Prior to the Volkswagen coming out, this is the most successful air-cooled car in the history of automobiles. They were made in Syracuse, New York. They were made till 1934 by the H.H. Franklin Motor Car Company. Now, what's so interesting about those cars, besides they're air-cooled, is the whole car is based more on airplane technology. So everything's very different, and they always had their own proprietary air-cooled engines, and they did all kinds of things with their frame and their springing, etc. So it's very different from any other cars, yet they worked. And what they used to be is cars that were, they call them luxury cars. A lot of doctors that drive them. It would be great out here in Arizona. They were winning races back in the early days. And you know why? Because you can't overheat the car. And so that's why they were very popular in desert areas. So they happen to have the museum down there. And what's really interesting about the H.H. Franklin Company is the way they got into automobiles was not where they started, but because they made a whole bunch of money doing something that every single one of us nowadays, every single day, use something that's got something based on their technology. Because this company was the company that invented zinc die casting. And so they made the fortune in the original patents for zinc die casting. And you say, what the hell is a zinc die casting? Well,
That's what
go
they
ahead.
That's what they make those Franklin Mint replicas out of.
You're right. They actually do this. But they also make your ignition switches. And every time you open the door latch, there's a zinc die casting in the door latch on virtually every door handle you're ever going to open.
So it's what people normally are referring to as pot metal parts. When they look at something, they say, oh, that's pot metal. A lot of it is actually zinc die cast.
Yes, it is. And it was actually that company that came up with it. They made a fortune with that. And they went into car building and made these cars for years. And their cars were really quite popular for what they were. And later in the 20s, they even came out with what they call classic cars with the big C because they're so special.
The odd part for me is they started in Syracuse and have a museum in Tucson instead. Somebody figured out the weather.
I think you're right about that one.
All right, well, speaking of the weather, we've got another beautiful day growing up on us here this morning. We got to take a quick break again here at 100.9 and 1450 AM, All About Cars.
Yeah.